Your high-ticket clients keep refunding and doing chargebacks, and it's costing you dearly, but I'm going to share with you the exact principles to deliver to over 100 new high-ticket clients a month without getting refunds. These SOPs have allowed us to create high-level client experiences with a relatively low number of client support staff, even when the sales team is closing 3 to 7 new people per day or even more. They're also the same principles that allow us to maintain a 4.9 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot with over 400 reviews and multiple client video testimonials per week. They'll make hard closed clients go from on the fence and buyer's remorse to being fully bought in without asking for refunds, doing chargebacks, etc. Because let's face it, without these principles, you're probably losing around $50,000 to $100,000 of profit a month in refunds and missed payments, and that stuff really stacks up. That's why I'll show you some of our best staff SOPs, but I'll also show you our client roadmap, speed to win mechanism, delivery culture, and my personal favorite, the TAS, standing for Torno Accountability System. So without further explanation, let's get right into it. Principle number 1, speed to win. Now, the speed to win principle is really important because the client just dropped several $1,000s. They're probably low-key freaking out. They've probably been hard sold if your sales team knows what they're doing, especially if you're selling to a cold audience. In that case, they probably didn't even expect to buy something, but your sales team made them buy because they're really good. So your sales team likely performed minor miracles to close them. So now their brains, the brains of your clients, need a justification that they made the right decision. That is so key. They need to justify it retrospectively after they've already made the purchase. So let me visualize this for you. Imagine your client is on a steep mountain road going downhill, and then there's a fork in the road. Both paths go downhill further, but one leads to the promised land. Your client is happy and excited, and the other one leads down a very gnarly cliff. The cliff of them becoming frustrated, ghosting, and then eventually either refunding or charging back. Either way, the client will gain momentum down whatever road they're going to go down on, but one of the roads will make them very happy and the other one will make them very unhappy. So you need to make sure that you push the client toward the happy road and keep getting momentum that way. And the way to do that is by delivering them as many wins as fast as possible. When we talk about wins, there's 2 components. There's speed and win. Speed means there should be a maximum 24 hours between the payment going through and their onboarding call and their first perceived win. Now, really key here, when I'm talking about wins, I do not talk about them getting the first epic result or any sort of thing that you might define as a real win. I'm talking about small perceived wins that, again, justify in the client's brain that they've just made the correct decision by purchasing from you. These wins include such small things such as clarity over the entire procedure. Hey, I just bought something for several $1,000s. But I have exact clarity of what we're going to do over the next days and weeks, and I'm excited about it. It could also be identifying of the first bottleneck, not fixing all their problems. I'm just talking about identifying their first bottleneck. If you're a fitness coach, you can tell them, hey, you're eating too much because of this, or your chest is not growing because you're doing that exercise instead of this one. For us personally, it's usually something along the lines of this is why your content isn't growing, or this is the type of content you should not post and this one instead. So with beginner clients, especially if you're in the B2C, most of the time it's the exact same bottleneck that's holding them back. They haven't started yet, they're not sure what to do, they need clarity, etc., etc. Clarity over the next immediate steps is also a win. So not only clarity over the entire procedure, but just the next 3-4 steps that they're going to implement together with you is already perceived as a win. And ideally, it's not just identifying those next steps, but already implementing some of these next steps in the very first call or the very first touch point the clients have with you and or your client success team. So here's what you need to implement. Number 1, you need to train your onboarding staff or yourself, if you're doing the onboarding yourself, to deliver wins quickly right there in the onboarding call. Give them a list of potential wins to choose from if necessary. Hey, Mr. Client Onboarder, here's 20 wins you can deliver. Depending on the client, deliver them as many as possible in the first 45 minutes. Now, once you implemented that speed to win mentality, If you add visualization references for the client on top of that, it will be so much more effective. Which brings us to principle number 2, the 30-day roadmap / ascension stages. Why is this important? Number 1, a roadmap with an exact system of the next steps incrementally laid out, meaning not an overview over, hey, we should kind of bring them to this over the first 30 days, but I'm talking about every single tiny micro step laid out as a bullet point list, and I'll show you an example in a second. If you do that, it takes away the burden of your staff in regards to coming up with strategy and next steps themselves. It turns it into simply pushing a client from one ascension stage step to the next one. It's that simple. That also means if you need to hire more customer success managers or coaches within your team, it's much easier for these newbies to know what to do because they just have to go from list item 1 to list item 2 to list item 3 and so on and so forth. But also having this visually laid out helps your clients because they can visualize the next 30 days. So when they have a moment of doubt, lying awake at night, thinking about the investment or, trying to get to work, but it's so much money that they've invested, they can see the whole period laid out right in front of them, full of wins, full of little results that they desire. So having a visualization of that is going to help tremendously. So let me show you an example of our 30-day roadmap because it shows exactly what we're showing our clients. Now, what we used to have for this was just a rough overview over what needs to be done in week 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But what we've implemented now is we're laying out every single step in tiny increments because, as I aforementioned, it's much easier for the client and your staff to really see that. So you can see here, they join the SFL, Smartphone Freedom Lifestyle, Slack community as step 1. Then they attend the activation call with their technical onboarding manager. Then they get their niche assessment, the client is. Then they attend the kickoff call with the one-on-one coach. Then they get the niche assessment submitted to Nina. She's our niche expert. Then the niche is approved. Then the content team starts doing the content research for our clients. And the monetization path is chosen. You can see how tiny these incrementable steps are. So here's the cool thing. The client gets this client master sheet with the 30-day fast track literally in the kickoff call with their one-on-one coach. So by the time they're on that one-on-one coach and they see the sheet for the first time, they will already get their activation call completed, their niche assessment completed, attending the kickoff call completed, and then in the course of the next 45 to 60 minutes on the kickoff call, they get their niche assessment submitted to our niche expert, they get their niche approved, they get the content team that starts working on it, they get the monetization path chosen, and so on and so forth. And our client success managers are literally trained to checkbox these off while they share their screen with the client. So the client is like, wow, win, 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 win. That is amazing. I already made progress. Yeah, I did invest a lot of money, but look at the progress. Oh, you know what? What are all the next steps we're going to work on? Wow, there's all these other things I'm going to do over the next couple days. This is so cool. And all that in just week 1. I can't wait to see what week 2 has in front of us, and so on and so forth. So you can see here how great this visualization is for, again, both your staff as well as your clients. You can add relevant links here, if the client needs to look something up on whatever, like how to do something specifically. For example, here, one of the essential stages is in here. Watch this video, the best way to work with your one-on-one coach, and then just click on this link. It opens up the video and they're good to go. You can add due dates here. This means that your client can add these due dates, or the one-on-one coach can add these due dates so your client knows until when this is being done. And there's any notes, updates, blocks, etc. It's all in there. It's simple. It's a nice, neat little overview. Now you might be asking, Max, why is it only the first 30 days? Like, what if I sell something for 3 months or 6 months? You can add the consecutive 30-day increments after this one. But the key is usually within the first 30 days, you're setting up the client either down a path of success and promised land with great momentum down towards something positive, or you're setting the client up towards something negative and they become frustrated, they ghost, they eventually refund. So the first 30 days are absolutely crucial. You can have similar fast tracks for the next 30 days and the next 30 days after that, but the first 30 days are by far the most important ones. Now, by the way, you can connect all this with your CRM if you use one. You can add automations to it. You can have control mechanisms that ensure that, certain things are being checkboxed off after 48 hours, after 72 hours, etc. You can have a manager or a director quality control the staff on each and every step, how long it takes on average for a client to achieve this, how well these points are being communicated to the client, and so on and so forth. But that is a whole other video. We can go really nitty-gritty detailed on that. So action item for you here, set up your 30-day roadmap and add it to your onboarding procedure for clients to see and check off in the onboarding call itself already. And by the way, if you're wondering how all this can be implemented and you want to have a little bit of a guiding hand, you can work together with us one-on-one. We're currently at $1 million a month. So we're working with a handful of business owners, personally one-on-one with my end, and also with all the directors of all our several departments as well. We're only working with a handful of people. So if you want to apply to work together with us and have us aid you at the scaling, our clients usually make 50 to 100K a month getting started with us, and then we scale them up to $500,000 a month and beyond. Link is down in the description below for you to apply to that. Now that all your clients have gotten early wins and are building momentum on the right path towards the promised land and are far away enough from refunds and chargebacks, it's time to hold them accountable. The best way to do that is through our very own TAS Torno accountability system. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how that looks like in a second, but you need to realize that this is so important because for you and your support staff, the next steps are always super obvious and they do not need to be emphasized. And I know you wish the client would just chill and kind of trust the process, but the challenge is that the average client will not know what to do next, and they will feel lost immediately. Even if you think you're emphasizing the next steps clearly, but I told them in a call, doesn't matter. That is why the TAS ensures that clients always know exactly what has to be done and they can visually see it. So again, if there is a moment of doubt where they're freaking out about the investment, they can see what the next steps are and they can feel reassured, right? So here's what this looks like in practice, our Torno accountability system in terms of micro implementation. This is a general framework that we're using in our B2C offer to guide clients through every single step of our programs or services. If you're in a B2B niche, you can use this type of communication, but I recommend you adjust the intensity to each client. So for B2C, we do a lot of hand-holding. For B2B, sometimes that hand-holding can almost get on people's nerves, so you can adjust the intensity of it. We're using this framework in our one-on-one chats and our one-on-one calls with our clients, but if we only use it in the one-on-one calls, our CSMs are still required to also post it in writing so clients can, again, see it in their Slack or whatever channel of communication you choose. So the guideline is very simple. Each and every Torno accountability system task includes a praise, the next steps as a headline, an explanation on why these next steps are so epic, and then link to the appropriate videos of your program or any sort of resources that the clients need for that, managing expectations and a deadline, and then an agreement and confirmation by the client side that they can hit that deadline or the due date. We can call it deadline/due date, depending on the client. If the client freaks out easily, because deadline is a lot of pressure, we just call it due date. And then, of course, put the deadline and the necessary notes into the calendar or the CRM or the client notes done by the CSM, aka the coach, so they also are in the loop and they can be reminded of it to remind the client. This is important if your coaches have, more than 30, 40, 50 active clients. They will probably forget, so it needs to be added into the CRM / into the notes. So it's pretty straightforward. So let's start with praise. Depending on the confidence level of your client, I would either give light praise, hey, you're crushing it, name, just keep up the pace, or stronger praise, hey, you're doing a really good job so far, name. You see, I told you you can do this. Together, we're going to keep progressing here for a dream of becoming or reaching XYZ goal. You can adjust that depending on the client. And then the 1, 2, 3 next steps, kind of like as an overview headline. This is a short 1-sentence description of your client's next steps. No need to share the details yet, just keep it short. Your next step or steps will be to do this and do that, just as an overview. Then you crack straight into point 3 on why these next steps are so epic and what the end result will be after these next steps. Especially experienced coaches or business owners leave that out because they're like, well, do the next steps. You don't need to know why, just go trust me. But again, you need the client's buy-in, which is why you're explaining what these next steps are going to do and why they're so epic and so great. So the client is excited about implementing these next steps. So for example, the cool thing about XYZ next step is that it will make it so easy for you to later on do the other thing and blah, 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 fix XYZ problem, all right? The end result will be that you will have XYZ that will make XYZ so much easier for you and so on and so forth. Again, this is to get the client's buy-in. Number 4, you want to link the appropriate videos or any sort of resources that are important for the client to implement that step. Hey, I've linked the 2 videos on the exact how-to here for you, champ. Let me know if you can open these links. Link 1, link 2. Super straightforward so the client doesn't feel like they have to look stuff up themselves. And then 5 is managing expectations. This is key if the next steps are kind of difficult or easy, just so that the client kind of understands what they can expect with this. So this next step is going to be a bit more difficult, but don't worry, I'm here in case you're going to run into difficulties. Don't worry if it's going to take you a bit longer. That's absolutely normal. These next steps are going to be a breeze for you. You can easily do these within 2 to 4 hours, so don't get discouraged by the amount of videos. They're actually pretty simple. Anything like that makes it clear for the client what they have to do. And then you want to add a deadline/due date. For example, all right, so usually this next step is going to take you around one afternoon. I know that the end of the weeks are a bit tighter for you because of your kids, so I suggest we set a deadline or due date for you. Implement this step until Monday, 4 p.m. Central European time. Works for you, and then have the client agree, have the client confirm, put in the deadline or a due date into your calendar, CRM, etc., and necessary notes so you're in the loop as well. Pretty straightforward. Again, it has to be in writing. Imagine a client lying awake at night, staring at their screen, wondering if it was the right decision. So you always want to have it in writing for the client to see at any point. So takeaway for you here is steal this fucking SOP. Like, please use it yourself. Teach it to your staff. Thank me later. You can either have the customer support director or a quality control person then review every client chat to ensure that every single client has an accountability system set in place with the exact next steps and due dates. Alternatively, you can build an automation that checks for it every 48 hours. We have an automation. We work with our clients exclusively on Slack. Why Slack? Because you can have automations built with Claude Code, N8N, feed directly into Slack. You can have bots scouring all your Slack conversations to make sure that clients don't get, ignored accidentally, get forgotten. Everybody receives a response within 24 hours, and every client has an accountability system in place. It's pretty awesome. We built a Claude Code agent that scans every client's Slack channels, flags if the TAS has not been detected in the last 48 hours. But again, that's topic for another whole separate video.
But Max, all these SOPs might be overwhelming for my customer support staff. Like, how can I make sure everyone is following them and excited about the extra work I'm giving them with this?
Well, that's exactly where our next point comes in, and you're actually going to hate me for bringing this up, but it will be worth it, I guarantee. Daily customer support team training. Why is this so important? Well, it's common knowledge at this point, I hope, that a sales team needs daily group meetings with training and daily quality control to perform at an extremely high level to make you fucking money. But the same is true for your customer support team. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, it sucks, and you may need to hire a manager if you as a business owner do not have the time for it anymore, but it will add extra work and it may cost more money, but the upside of that is huge. Financially alone, it will reduce refunds. It will increase cash collected from payment plans. And most importantly, you will get a lot more upsells. So please see it as a pretty direct path to more cash profit. And I'm talking about pure cash profit because this is all back-end stuff. So for me, it was super easy to justify daily trainings and meetings for the sales staff because I'm like, well, I'm going to close more, make more money. But I always had resistance of implementing that in the support team because I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's just going to take extra time. Let them just do their freaking job. But then I realized it's just going to help so much with back-end money. So we started implementing that, and we started faring way better, and the refund rate went almost down to 0, which is fantastic. So let me illustrate what will happen with and without daily CS training and quality control. If you have SOPs, you think, great, we have the SOPs, CS team will probably follow them, and it's all good. Well, they will follow them for a couple days, maybe 2 weeks. After that, psychologically speaking, in their brain, it will start to slip their mind. Because if it's not emphasized anymore that this SOP is key, if it's not quality controlled and not reinforced through training, they will start to treat it as an unimportant task and slack off on it gradually. That's just what happens with our brain. So you do not notice that. And then it becomes a series of small neglected SOPs. Just a little bit here. Here it got slacked off a little bit. Over there, this hasn't been done exactly according to T. You'll let it stack up, and you'll get a bunch of refunds all of a sudden. And you'll think it's just bad luck. Oh yeah, we just had a bad month with a couple of refunds, not our fault. So you don't look into it. Or you only look into it at a surface level. But then refunds keep accumulating. People don't pay their payments. Or your upsells start going down. And your CS team will churn. Your CS team will leave, and you'll again wonder why that is for months and months. Something must be wrong, and you'll lose money unnecessarily. And then only when you finally do a deep dive after weeks and months of lost money, you will realize that all the nice SOPs that were already in place have never been followed. They haven't been followed properly, maybe only partially. And then you'll blame it on your staff or on the shit culture, but in reality, it was you. You, the business owner, or you, the manager of your CS team. You never put in the extra work of doing the daily trainings, daily QC that are just necessary. I know it sucks, but we humans, we need daily reminders. Now, here's what happens when you do implement daily training and QC for this. The CS team will always be aware of the SOPs, and they are constantly reminded of them, which means they execute on them. Funny enough, B players will frown, they will slack off, and they will interpret this as like, oh, you guys are micromanaging, you guys are controlling us, and therefore they will either leave or get fired by you, which is actually a good thing because it cleanses your company of the B players and it raises everyone else's standards. On the other hand, A players will love it. They will welcome the daily training and accountability. They will see that as an opportunity to grow and be better, as a free investment in themselves. They will use the SOPs to generate more upsells, get more commission bonuses for themselves. And if you have that set up, you'll get more marketing testimonials. All this stuff is great. Everybody wins. You will build a company culture that eventually runs by itself. New CS staff members will come into the daily trainings. They will immediately orientate themselves to the extremely high standards and they will rise with the challenge. You will raise the tide and therefore all the boats together with it. And the daily team meetings will be a joy for you to run or for someone else to run those. They will literally be inspiring to you because you will be inspired by your team. Your team will stop sucking the life and the energy out of you and you will actually start receiving energy from them. So whenever you're having a hard time or a tough week as a business owner, your team will actually carry you back to the top where you belong. That is the beauty of daily trainings. They're so freaking worth it, not just financially speaking. And FYI, one of the biggest company culture items that we train and emphasize every single day is that it's never the client's fault, even if it is the client's fault. So all these excuses about, oh, the client was going to refund anyways, the client never executed, the client ghosted us, the client wasn't excited to begin with, and the client was mean. All these things are being nullified by this company culture credo that it's not the client's fault ever. They're being replaced with what could we have done better? If we had been absolutely perfect, 10 out of 10, would the client have had a chance of staying on? Would we have maybe increased the chance a tiny little bit? That is what you reinforce with proper company culture. Oh, and by the way, you'll also make more money. It sounds like a pretty fair freaking trade-off. So the lesson for you, don't slack off on daily training and daily quality control or hire someone that is really good at it. Now, I got one more epic point for you that was probably never on your radar, and it's a very small change that has a very big impact. Expectation management. Have your own sales staff go through the onboarding process and use your actual product. Why is this important? Number one, it hypes up your sales staff. So once everything is dialed in, all the things that I've just told you have been implemented, they will actually sell with more confidence. They move from kind of just hard selling, closing people to I know our stuff is actually really fucking good and I'm excited to sell it. And number two, sales staff will stop making accidental false promises because they become more aware of any limitations that your service or product might have. And number three, your sales staff know your audience better than you do because they talk to them every single day, deep dive, so they can come up with innovative, lucrative ideas to improve your current product. Not all of those ideas are going to be feasible, granted, and some may be unrealistic, but I guarantee there will be improvements that you have not thought of before that will make your product even better coming from your sales team. So action item here for you, implement the steps that I've told you, then give access to your sales staff and have them experience your product and give you feedback. Now, if you want to work with me and my team one-on-one to turn your product into something absolutely unfuckable and unlock a ton of extra profit, pure profit that is, because it's back end, by fixing your client journey, then click the link in the description down below and we'll work very closely one-on-one with you. But we're very busy. We're currently at around 1 million a month in revenue, so we only work with a handful of business owners. So you need to apply down below. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.